save your money. You need to save money. Okay, but save it for what? Because it feels like everything that I'm supposedly saving for just keeps getting further and further out of reach. And yeah, sometimes I will spend $7 on a coffee because I know that if I stay inside, I'll just stare at a wall and feel completely hopeless. But then if I get outside, go to a coffee shop, I'll apply to jobs, do some work, think about my future, and feel like I'm a part of the world again. So sometimes spending money on something small that's going to give you enough hope to show up to tomorrow is worth more than saving $7.
Where I live, the average rent for a one-bedroom apartment is about $1,700. If you were to make enough money to where that $1,700 apartment was 25% of your pay so that you were not house poor, I think the math came out to be that you needed to make like $6,800 a month. And if you follow Dave Ramsey, he says 25% of your take-home pay. So we're not even get that nitty-gritty about it. But $6,800 a month works out to be $42 an hour. So for a single person to afford to live in a one-bedroom apartment where I live, and no, it is not in the city of Seattle, you would need to be making $42 an hour to be able to afford that rent comfortably. I don't understand why this is such a hard concept for people to understand, that wages are not livable. Because I'm thinking about how my kids are going to be able to move out in 20 years. How are they going to be able to afford an apartment? If as of right now, a single person would need to make $42 an hour to afford to live solo, minimum wage is $17 an hour. Like, this just isn't working. Maybe it's just Washington, but there isn't anything about our lifestyle that we can cut out to make this any cheaper. I can't move further to the country because they're just as expensive. I'm driving a 16-year-old car. Our mortgage has a 2.9 interest rate from 2021. We don't have PMI. It's a fixer-upper. This lifestyle should not be hard to afford, and I know I'm not the only one. So if you made it this far, I would love to hear what your ideas are and suggestions for us to fix this.
Can I just rant, like, real quick? I promise it's quick. I just need to know why every single coffee shop that I've been to this past, 2 weeks, I'm externing right now, so I don't have my Nespresso luxury at home, so I've been literally trying out new coffee shops within the area, and they're all minimum $8. When I was working as a server back in 2019, I could get a whole ass meal at Chipotle for $8, with chicken. I just don't understand why that's the norm now. It's heartbreaking. I mean, that's literally oh my God, why am I zooming? That's literally an hour's work after tax. What the fuck?
A lot of people have been noticing something strange about everyday life recently, where normal things like grabbing a coffee, ordering food, or buying basic products somehow feel way more expensive than they should. The clips in this video highlight those small moments that make people question what happened to the prices they used to expect, from paying more for less to seeing rent numbers that feel completely out of reach. This video will break down why the cost of ordinary life has changed, why small purchases are feeling like a bigger financial decision, and why the path to feeling stable doesn't look the same for everyone anymore.
I predict that tons of fast food and restaurant places are going to go out of business before they figure it out. What am I talking about? The fact that it's so damn much money to go out to eat right now that people just aren't doing it anymore. And if they do it, they're going to places that have actually gotten it. What do I mean by gotten it? Okay, so I can go to In-N-Out for half the price of every other fast food place, and the food is better. I can go to Chili's, BJ's, or Red Lobster and get a meal for lunch for under $20 or happy hour $5 margaritas. Well, you can't go to McDonald's or Chipotle for under $20 now. Yeah, if you hit the dollar menu, you use the app and you do the little tricks and stuff. Me and my son went to Chipotle the other day. The video's everywhere. It was $52.64 for the two of us to get 2 bowls and 2 drinks. These people have lost their minds. A lot of these fast food places and a lot of these sit-down places. Denny's. Me and my son went to Denny's to have breakfast. It's a Denny's. It was over $62 for the two of us to have coffee and our breakfast. And I was like,
people with access to generational wealth, or I should say maybe generational support, even at moderate levels, they see someone not doing everything, even when they're well-meaning, they see someone not doing everything they can to move forward and get ahead as a moral failure, because they don't understand that it's not a moral failure for people in poverty. It's a physical inability, right? When you're poor, everything is more expensive. You have no one to lean on very often when you're poor. You have no sense of community. You have no resources, financially, physical, or otherwise. And so they'll look at you as though, why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you going to college? You know, why don't you just... It's like you're telling the person that takes the bus everywhere, why don't they go to school, when not only does it take them 11 hours to go round trip to work, right? Between taking the bus to and from work, they've got to take the bus to the grocery store. They got to take the bus to the laundromat. Why don't you just buy a washer and dryer? Because they only make enough money to be able to afford to wash their clothes at the washing machine, not enough to put them away to buy. Like, they don't understand how their access to that support system that they have permits them to do things that other people quite literally can't do. I had an ex-girlfriend telling me about how, like, oh, you should just go do this, you should just go do this. And it's like I hadn't just read the right self-help books or whatever. And I'm like, you don't understand that when your parents pass, you inherit a generational wealth amount of money. When my mom dies, I'm going to get a $10,000 bill from the state. That's the difference between you and me. So you get to fail over and over and over again right now, and that even should you choose to, if everything goes south for you, you get to coast into old age. There are going to be people in their 60s and 70s working at McDonald's because they don't want to starve. Now, you are afforded the luxury to get to do things, and that's why you believe it's a moral failing. Other people don't have that luxury. They have to do things. And so what a lot of times they end up doing is they're like, well, why aren't you doing these extras, these accessories to go get further? And they are only doing the requisites they can to stay alive for one more day. And too many people with privilege, even when they're well-meaning, they can't comprehend the difference.
For a lot of people, the most frustrating part about prices right now isn't one huge expense. It's how every small thing started feeling different. A coffee that used to be a quick $3 or $4 purchase can now feel like something you have to think about before buying. Fast food had the same reputation for years as the cheap option, but now even a basic meal can cost enough that people start questioning whether it's actually worth it. That change is confusing because these weren't supposed to be luxury purchases. They were the simple things people used to buy without much thought. Another thing making people notice the difference is that prices don't always increase in obvious ways. Sometimes the product just gets smaller while the prices stay the same or even goes up. A bag of snacks, a drink, or even a household item can quietly lose value without people even realizing it at first. It creates this feeling that people are constantly paying attention to what they're getting instead of actually enjoying what they buy. The bigger issue is that these small increases stack up on top of each other. A few extra dollars for coffee, a few extra dollars for food, and higher prices for everyday items can completely change how someone manages their money. It's not about wanting everything to be cheap forever, because everyone understands prices change over time. It's about the feeling that things that used to represent normal everyday life are slowly moving into a category that you have to limit. For a lot of younger Americans especially, this is the environment they're learning adulthood in, where even small choices can feel like financial decisions.
I lived in Europe for about 6 months. Here's some things about America that just don't make sense to me. Starting off strong, student loans. Tell me how our government allows an 18-year-old child, who can't even take a sip of alcohol, mind you, funny, to sign a paper and take out a loan for like $50,000 for a degree that they don't know how they're going to use. They don't understand the job market. They don't understand how much money that is. And you can't get rid of it. I'm learning about bankruptcy right now, and student loans are one of the only things you cannot discharge. Even if you file for bankruptcy and lose everything, your house, oh my God, I can't understand. Number 2, the health insurance here. Don't even get me started on this one, okay? How can I go into an MRI, an appointment, a surgery, and not even know what the fuck I have to pay? I don't think people understand how stressful this is until you're off your parents' insurance and you have a high deductible. Guys, I went to the ER and I got a $2,500 bill for having chest pain that wasn't even that serious. I can't. And number 3, this is a huge blanket statement, but it's gotta just be the individualism. Like, everyone is so fractured from each other. The cities we live in, everyone has their own yards and their own space versus being on the block and all being together or going to parks together. It's just the way our cities are fundamentally set up and the way our society works to try and disengage us from each other. Like, the convenience culture too, now I'm just rambling, but like, you would never go to the grocery store and find pre-cut fruit in a plastic package in Italy. That just didn't fucking exist. Anyways, I hate being negative, but I also think it's really important to call these things out so we can hopefully come together and make changes, because I like to believe change can still happen here.
You know how every time you come onto the internet, you learn about another shrinkflation thing and how things just suck so bad now, but is more expensive? So I have this duvet. I bought it in 2020. In August of 2020, I went to Kohl's. It was the day I moved into my dorm. This thing was like $100, but it is so fluffy and it is still voluminous as the day I bought it. It is the brand Hotel Suite, and I know Kohl's exclusively sells them. So a couple weeks ago, I learned about this dumbass TikTok thing and I had money to spend. So I decided I was going to go get another insert to add to the other duvet. You get what I'm doing. And this was my fault. I fucked up here because I'm an idiot. That's not the point though. I didn't open the package because I assumed it's the same fucking company, more higher price tag. Yes, of course it's going to be the same, right? Wrong. This is the duvet I bought a couple weeks ago. When I tell you, you have to look at this. The one up top is the one I bought 6 years ago. This one I bought like 6 weeks ago, and it looks like shit and it feels like shit. It's plasticky, it's shitty, it looks bad like this. And let me tell you, when it's in a duvet, it is so sweaty because the material it's made out of that says it's breathable is not. So Hotel Suite, I'm coming for your ass. Oh, and did I mention it was $50 more to buy compared to the one I bought 6 years ago? Okay.
One of the biggest reasons this topic hits so hard is because a lot of people are reasoning that becoming independent requires a completely different level of money than they expected. For years, the idea of adulthood was built around simple steps like getting a job, saving money, and eventually moving into your own place. But when apartments in major cities can require an income of over $40 an hour just to feel affordable, that path starts looking very different. The problem is that advice about money often sounds simple when it ignores the starting point someone has. Telling someone just to save more money sounds reasonable until they're already dealing with higher rent, expensive necessities, student loans, or other costs that take up most of their paycheck. Two people can work just as hard and have completely different experiences depending on whether they have family support, help with housing, or money to fall back on. That difference can completely change how quickly someone is able to build stability. A person who gets help moving out, avoids debt, or has family support is starting a race from a completely different place than someone trying to figure out everything alone. That doesn't mean hard work no longer matters, but it does mean the path is not identical for everyone. A lot of frustration from feeling like people are being judged by old standards that don't consider how much the cost of basic milestones has changed. The idea of saving for the future sounds simple, but it's become much harder when the present already takes so much money to maintain. This is why conversations about money today are becoming less about buying unnecessary things and more about questioning what is realistically possible. For many younger people, the goal isn't some unrealistic lifestyle filled with expensive purchases. It's being able to afford a place to live, handle emergencies, and not feel like one unexpected expense can completely throw everything off. The definition of being financially comfortable has changed because the foundation of everyday life has changed. And when people are entering adulthood in this environment, it makes sense why some people are rethinking the advice they've been given.